I'm Cecilia Louie of Paper Zen. You can make a special girl's unicorn dreams come true. Or a Pegasus, or a winged unicorn. After cutting these adorable gift boxes with an SVG cutting machine, they can be party decorations or even a cake topper. You can stuff these party favors with sweets or treats, then give them to your guests to thank them for coming to your party. To make one of these fantastic creatures, you just need 3 sheets of cardstock. One for the body, one for the head, and one of a colored stock just for all these little accents. And the one that I used here is by Recollections. I just took the dark pink from there. And to get the metallic glimmer on this unicorn horn, I used a Uniball Signo silver pen. And I'll leave a link in the notes below where you can find this. Here are all the pieces after they've been cut. And I always tend to pre-fold along the perforations first so that it makes my assembly easier. Now there are 2 versions of the body. This one is the Pegasus, because you can tell that because there are slots here on the back, so that's where these wings would go. And the unicorn wouldn't have this part in the file. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a winged unicorn, so then that way you'll see both the wings and the unicorn horn at the same time. So let's set the body parts aside for now. I'm going to be taking away the body, the wings, and this panel for now. So starting with the head, I'm going to apply the nostrils first because these pieces are so tiny, it's easy to get them blown off your work surface otherwise. So I'm going to start applying that to the head, and to do that I'm going to turn this part this way because actually these are the nostrils facing downward. So I have some fine tip tweezers and I'm just going to grip my nose piece here and apply a little dab of glue. And then if you look really carefully, you'll see some indications of where you need to glue those nostrils. So you just follow the curve right there and apply the nostril. Then that way you're not left guessing where to apply that. And if you're curious about what kind of glue I'm using Aleene's Original Tacky Glue, and I have it in a fine tip nozzle here. I just find it's really easy to apply the exact amount of glue and exactly where I want it. So I'm just going to do the opposite side now. So next is the eyelashes, and again there's an indication of where to glue it, and you can glue it exactly on that line, but actually I tend to just off shift it upwards a little bit to cover up that line so that we seal up that die cut right there. Now you could certainly glue it flat, but I actually like to use a crochet hook and just give my eyelashes a little curl, because you know, if you've got long eyelashes you might as well flaunt it, right? Then again, because my fingers are so big, I'm just going to flip it upside down with my tweezers, apply a little bit of glue, and then glue it down into place. And we'll do the same with the second eyelash. Now we've got our pretty eyelashes done. Next, let's work on the ears. So this is the inside part of the ear, and this is the outside part of the ear. And I'm just going to apply some glue and just glue that into the middle of my ear, just along that same baseline of the ear right there. And you know, just center it within that white area. And again, I'm just going to use my crochet hook, and using the fleshy part of my finger, I'm going to lay the ear down and roll it back and forth on my finger just to give it a gentle curl. And I want to do that while my glue is wet, because otherwise it won't set quite the same after it's dry. And then there's some score lines right here to fold these tabs. And I'm just going to apply some glue along that tab and bring those tabs on top of one another to create a sculpted ear. Then, do you see these markings here? So what it's going to do is fit right there. And instantly we have the ear in position. You don't have to guess where it goes. So let's just apply a little bit of glue on the back, that triangle piece right there. And then with my finger underneath, I'm just going to push that tab a little bit open, and that's going to help me slide my ear in place. And with my finger, I'm just going to press inside there, inside the ear. And if your fingers are not comfortable doing this, you can also use flat kind of tweezers and get in there and just squeeze the part of the tweezer to give it a good hold. And we'll do the same with the second ear. There, we've got our ears done. Next, we're going to work on the mane. This little cowlick here, this curl, that is the front part. These two tabs, I'm going to fold one way and one the other way. That way, I just want to prevent it from leaning too much to one direction. That's the only reason why I'm doing that. Okay, so I'm going to insert this tab first into the top slot. And from the opposite side, I'm going to grab the tab and pull it inward. And then this tab here at the same time has to go into its slot as well. And it might require a little bit of fussing on your part, but it'll give you a nice seamless look that is going to make people wonder, how did you make that purple grow right out of the head like that? And they'll never know, right? So I'm just going to flip those two tabs, one in opposite direction, and glue them down. And you can see with that motion of gluing those tabs down that it kind of, moves the mane a little bit off center, and that's easy to fix. You just kind of tug it back into place. Now our head is ready to assemble. I'm going to add some glue on this tab and this tab. And so this tab here tucks under this main panel like that. And then look from below to make sure that those tabs are being pressed against each panel. And then these little teeth, you need to tuck under the nose area here. So we're not going to tackle those ones just yet. What we're going to do is glue these two panels first. So sometimes, when I'm assembling something for the first time, I'll tend to just position it just to make sure, is this where it's going to go? And I just find that way my fingers, my panels, my gluing, it has a chance to warm up, if you would, and basically know its place. So again, I just want to make sure these teeth are out of the way as I come around and glue these two panels together. And the reason why I avoid doing the teeth first is because when there's more security, this is secure, this is secure, this is secure, then there's less, chance for movement. Okay, now that the glue is set, I'm going to use my thumb and push this panel outward. Now I can use my fine tip nozzle and insert just the right amount of glue along that panel. Now, if you don't have a fine tip glue nozzle, you can also use a toothpick. And with this thumb, I'm just going to press these tabs down and also push them wherever they need to go to follow the curvature of the nose. Okay, now this panel can finish the whole head by coming down like so. Let's add some glue. And I'm going to just gently fluff up these tabs a little bit so that when this panel comes to connect, it pushes them down and against these, these two surfaces against one another. And I'm going to add glue here, and this time I'm going to add glue on the inside here and along this panel here, along this nose area here, and insert them into place. You see how everything is loose right now? Just gently tuck and guide them into place. Because you've already done all the work of setting it all up on this side, now it's just a gentle coaxing into shape. Hey everyone, I completely forgot about showing you this panel. Basically, after we formed the head and the ears and the mane, I just thought it would be nice to use up some extra scrap piece on that cutting file by adding a reinforcement panel. So all I would have done was add some glue to this panel and just basically glue it on the inside part of the head, so that when the mane and the ears, all that stuff, it just has extra rigidity inside the head because there's so many cut parts to it. So I just wanted to strengthen it. So, just to clear it up, it would have gone right here like that. But as you can see, even without it, it's not as if structurally there's any worry about it coming apart or anything like that. It's just a scrap piece of paper on your cut file. Okay, our head has been formed and we need to add a unicorn horn if you're making a unicorn. So the triangle piece, you'll notice that there's actually a 90-degree angle right here. And so that's going to be the bottom. And this is the spiral part that will taper downward. So I'm just going to put a ruler on top, the spirally edge, not the 90-degree edge. And I'm just going to use a Uniball Signo pen, and I'm using a silver. They come in silver or gold. Now, because the tip here is so fine, I actually go this way, because if I go this way against that fine tip, it's actually quite fragile. So I run my pen this way towards the end, and then I carry it this way. This pen, this ink, it actually tends to take a while to dry. So actually I've been impatient and I've tried to touch it and it ends up getting on my fingers. So actually I tend to let this part dry overnight so that I can ensure that the silver doesn't come off. It gives it a proper time to dry. So instead I'm going to be showing you how to form it using this piece, and I'll form this another time when it's dry. So to form our horn, I'm going to soften this end with a bone folder, and I'm just going to, just like your curling ribbon, I'm going to just kind of soften that tall end here. And again, this is the 90-degree part, so this is the bottom. I'm going to apply a little bit of glue right along that edge and apply a toothpick to it about halfway up. Now let this part dry, okay? Now that our toothpick is dry, I'm just going to start slowly curling the paper around my toothpick. And it might be a little difficult right here where there's no toothpick. So I'm just going to apply another toothpick on the opposite side just to give it a good starting point. And then you see how I've given it a start of a curl. Now I can take away that helping toothpick and just start curling. And as you curl, do you see how this part here, it's getting, out of alignment with the bottom? Not to worry, because your toothpick is here to help you keep the bottom part aligned. And again, there you can see it's spiraling out of control, not a big deal. I'm going to use the flat side of my nails to just gently push those coils so that they stay straight. And it's a little stubborn, that's okay, because we are in control. Not to worry, it's just paper. Now our unicorn horn has reached the tail end, and I'm just going to unravel it a little bit and align the bottom parts again and apply some glue. Using my finger, I'm just going to just gently smear that glue, and have some tissue on hand on your desk to smear off that extra glue so you don't get anywhere where you don't want it to be, and just gently roll it up and guide that tail so it's nice and straight along that bottom edge. And the reason why I smeared that with my finger is because I don't want excess glue to come gooshing out. And I find that when you smear the glue with your finger, you take off that excess. And I was talking too long, so now my tail is dried up. So I'm just going to reapply some glue and just make sure we finish off that spiral so nicely. Now I'm just going to push down these coils to make it as straight as I can. And all I'm doing is pushing against these coils, you see, and so I want to make them line up. No one's going to see underneath, but I just want to make it nice and sturdy. And there's our unicorn horn. And you can actually choose to push the toothpick up into the horn. Do you see how I just extended it just slightly? So decide how you want to adjust your spiral. And then you see those coils here? I'm going to set them in place by pushing glue inside the coil. And I'm going to take another toothpick and just smear that glue inside my unicorn horn. And once it's dried, it's going to make sure that those coils are going to stay where you placed. Now, normally I let this glue dry. It hasn't fully yet, but for the purposes of this video, I just want to show you how to cut off the excess. Now, it's really hard to show because I can't show the edge of my desk very well, but I'm going to basically place some sour cream containers on my desk here to raise my cutting surface up just slightly. And what I want to do is, do you see the depth of this horn here to the middle of my toothpick? If I were to put that on my table surface and just try to cut, it can't really cut well because it's not flush. So why I'm raising this up is so that, if you can pretend I'm looking from the side, I want to cut the toothpick against a flush surface like that. So just pretend that I'm showing you the edge of my desk and it's giving you a flush area to cut. So I'm just gently rotating the toothpick so that I'm scoring into the toothpick with my X-Acto knife to weaken all around that toothpick. And then with my nail, I'm going to place it near the cut areas and break off the toothpick. So just to make sure, I'm just going to press the toothpick against the outer ring of my unicorn horn just to make sure it's a flush surface. Because we want to make sure it's flush so that when we go to glue to the head, it's nice and straight. So that's how we do it. Now, all we need to do is add some glue all around the outer ring and the toothpick, and this is where we would glue it. Okay? I forgot to mention, do you see the width of this line here? I actually made it a little bit thicker on my blue one by basically running the pen twice along the length of the unicorn horn because I just really like the shimmer of that look. I mean, the single line looks nice too, but I just found that doing it twice was actually going to give me a more bolder glimmer. Okay, next up is the 4 hooves. Do you see this little tab here? That's the part I'm going to add glue on, and just bring this panel over. Now, do you see how it tapers down? I want to glue this panel first. I'm just going to push this small tab down. Now I'm going to apply glue on the inside part of my hoof. Again, I just basically, I mean, you could add glue on this panel here, but when you go to push it down inside, I just find that you have a chance of smearing the glue on the outside of the hoof. So you just bring those corners together. Now from the within, I'm just going to use a crochet hook and just press down against those panels to make sure that they have a good adhesion. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to apply glue only on the inside and push these panels on top. So we're just going to form all 4 and set them aside for now. Okay, now we're ready to work on the body. So I've pre-folded all my tabs, and I'm going to bring this tab over here and apply glue. Then bring this tab over here and just make sure that those bottom lines match up. And I just tend to fold the opposite direction just to make sure, you know, it's nice and square. And I'm just going to, with my thumb, hold it on from the inside. I just find that that gives me a good structural grip. With this panel, I'm just going to fold it out of the way. Let's just apply some glue on this panel, and again, just to avoid smearing on the outside, what I'm going to do is apply the glue right here. The opposite side, same thing. Okay, so now we're going to push that panel in, and with my thumb I'm just pressing, and well, in this case you can, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's your thumb or any other finger, something in there, just to push against it and help form that 90 degrees. And again, if you're not comfortable using your thumb, just use something. So with my finger on the outside and something on the inside, I'm pressing against each other so that there's good adhesion. Okay, now do you see that there's one large panel here? That's going to be on the inside, and then this panel is going to cover the tabs on the outside, so it looks clean both ways. I'm just going to apply some glue on these panels here. And with my fingers on the inside, I'm just going to push that panel against my fingers. Same thing as the other side. We're just going to push these tabs down. And then glue on the inside part of here. And these tabs come inward. And just make all those panels become good friends. Okay, our body is almost formed. We just have that one final panel to do. Okay, now we're ready to add the tail. And we're just going to insert it in the slot. Now we're going to add some glue to the tail and glue that tail down. This panel here is just to add it on top, just to clean it all up and make it look nice. It was just extra area on the file. You might as well use up that paper rather than waste it. There, nice and clean now on the inside. Now we're ready for our wings. And just to make sure, this is the tail part, so we want the wings, these edges, this same direction, okay? So these 2 tabs, we just easily insert them. and then glue them from the inside. Now you can fill it with treats and put the panel closed on top of the other panel. Now it's time to add our hooves. We're going to add some glue on the top part of the hoof and basically attach it to all four corners. Okay, my hooves are finished now, and I'm just going to add the head, and you can have it, you know, looking downward, facing straight, any which direction. I tend to have been adding the head with a dab of glue in the middle here, just a little bit facing this direction away from the opening and a little bit downward. So, but you know, just to make it look a little demure or shy, any which way that you want is fine. And you just need to hold it in place until the glue sets. Now that our head is set, we can add our decorations, and there's 3 pairs to choose from, and I just tend to add them like this, but any which way that you want to add them is fine too. And the final touch, don't forget, is to fluff up these eyelashes now that we're done forming the rest of the head and the body, and we can flutter them away like that. And then after you've finished your unicorn horn, you can add that on top right there, and then you'll be done. You can also enlarge my SVG cutting files by 110% and then cut it out of 12 by 12 cardstock, and then it would be large enough to fit a gift card inside. And if you happen to have tabloid size cardstock, that's 11 by 17 inches, you can also enlarge my pattern up to 135% and get an extra large mini unicorn or Pegasus. And if you're curious about the sizes, this one out of 8.5 by 11 is 3 inches long by 2 inches wide. This one here is cut by out of the 12 by 12 cardstock, and it's enlarged by 110%. So it's 3 1/4 by 2 and almost 1/4. And then the largest one of all, cut out of tabloid size, is just over 4 inches by 2 3/4. I really hope you enjoyed making a unicorn or Pegasus with me. If you'd like to help me out, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I'd love to know who you made this for. Was there a special occasion? What did you hide in your gift box? I love it when they say, "You made this?" I want to hear what happened with you. Have fun, everyone.